10 years old when I started. I wanted to learn a musical instrument. My next door neighbour, he said that he would teach me the pipes. Just after a couple of months, I had the bug, if you like. As soon as you put the kit on, you're straight into that role. It's a great feeling knowing that you're carrying on traditions and culture. Anybody that has ever came to watch the Edinburgh Tattoo, it's something they'll never forget. I've been on both sides. I've been a performer, and I remember going to the tattoo as a young boy. As soon as you come through the drawbridge at the castle and you see the crowd and the cameras, it makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. I've been fortunate enough to have been the lone piper at the castle. The couple of seconds before you strike, it's deadly silent, darkness. They flash a big spotlight on you. That's your cue. You'll see the flashes of all the cameras going off, and you'll never be able to replicate marching out of the drawbridge. It's a brilliant city. There's not a lot of people, I would argue, could say that they get paid for doing something that they really love to do. Being in the military in a Scottish regiment and being Scottish myself, it doesn't matter where we are in the world, we always take it with us.
Welcome back to Global Village. I'm Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is Scotland the Brave. And still with us is Les Blair, the chieftain of the St. Andrew Society here in the Philippines. And joining him is Roy Espiritu, and he is the bagpipe, the piper of the St. Andrew Society. So welcome back, Les. And of course, Roy, welcome to Global Village. Pleasure to have you here, and what a special treat.
To be here.
Special treat to have you here, because in a few moments you're going to be playing something for us. But before we jump into that, let's talk about you. What is your background, Roy, and how did you get involved in this? And how did you become a bagpipe player?
Yeah. Started with my great-grandfather is a Scot, and our family was really into the Scottish heritage idea. And growing up, I was listening to bagpipe music, Celtic music, through my uncle's records. And he took me to St. Andrew Society functions like the ball and the burn supper. And back then, I saw, first time I saw pipes played live, I knew that I wanted to learn. And then when it came to a time that I thought that I could teach myself, I just did.
Yes. And you were attending these St. Andrew Society balls as a young child,
Yeah,
huh?
not a child, but I was an adolescent.
Yeah, I just want to show this before we continue, that this is a picture actually of the Manila Polo Club in 1961. And this is actually a St. Andrew's ball held at that venue in that year. And it's still held at the Manila Polo Club every year as per tradition. So this goes to show you how deep and how special the relationship is of the St. Andrew's Ball. Now, let's talk about your background. You said your great-grandfather, or your grandfather?
Great-grandfather.
Did he come to the Philippines?
Yeah, he came to the Philippines. They were the ones that built the railroad in Luzon, and actually met his wife in Bicol. And then there, he moved to, I believe he moved to Cagayan de Oro, Bukidnon, to settle there. And then when World War II came, he was interred also in the same place as Heather's parents in Santo Tomas.
Yes, amazing. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the pipes you have now. Maybe you can tell us. This is the first time I've actually come close to a bagpipe. I've seen it in movies for sure and heard it on television.
It's going to be an earful later for you. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the pipe. What are the components? I mean,
yeah.
What are we looking at?
It has, I guess, five pipes. These three, the big ones, these are the drones.
Right.
They supply the steady tone that you hear in the background.
Drones. Okay.
This is the blowpipe, where you put the air in, and then there's the chanter, which supplies the notes, the melodies.
Okay, so you blow into that, and this is where you play it. Okay.
Yes, this is where you play it, and then this is the bag that holds the air for the pipes, and actually most countries in Europe have their own version of bagpipes. Germany, Spain, even Czechoslovakia has.
But the most famous absolutely is from Scotland.
One is from Scotland, yeah.
I wasn't even aware that these other countries had bagpipes until you just mentioned it right now. Because when you say bagpipes, Scotland.
Yeah.
Bagpipe, Scotland. Okay. Now, who taught you how to play the pipes?
I'm self-taught mostly. When I was starting out, I had a virtual tutor, I guess you could say. He was a kid from Uruguay. There are also pipers there, and he was, we were corresponding via email, and I would record something for him, and then he'll tell me what I was doing wrong, and then started from there.
Wow.
And then when it came to a point I could teach myself to progress forward, I just did.
Did you have a musical background before you jumped into
I
this?
was a bass player in high school,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
So that helped.
That
a bit.
helped, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, compared to playing the bass, would this be harder or easier?
The fact that I was learning it myself, it had all instruments have their own levels of difficulty. It's just a matter of if you relate to the instrument well, it would be easy.
Now, I understand that you play this on occasion. People hire
I'm a
you.
professional piper.
You're
yeah.
a professional piper, the only professional Filipino piper in the Philippines.
In the
this
world,
is-
actually.
In the world. Okay. Okay. Now, who hires you for these events?
I do occasions that where bagpipes are called for are usually like weddings,
Okay.
special events, like even golf tournaments. I play
that's
for
kinda cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and because golf is another
Well,
Scottish
organized by the
invention,
Scots, yeah.
And of course funerals.
Okay. Okay.
It's music, it's music. It plays whenever it's needed.
Now,
Yeah.
let's talk about the useless of the bagpipes in history, in Scottish history. He mentioned, Roy mentioned weddings, funerals, but I understand there's also they've also been used for other things.
Yeah, I mean, the bagpipes was an instrument of war. So typically it would be used to call the clans to war when the clans were fighting among themselves in Scotland. And then when the Scots regiments joined the British Army, particularly in the First World War, the Scottish soldiers were led out of the trenches into battle by a piper. And during that war, over half of the bagpipers in Scotland were killed. And the reason they were killed is because, of course, the enemy soldiers targeted the bagpiper first.
For sure.
Because they felt that would demoralize the soldiers. So it was only after some months of the First World War that the bagpiper actually came out after the soldiers.
Yes.
So, which was very good for the health of the bagpiper in general.
And it sounds like a suicide mission, eh? I mean,
was
just coming
practically a
from the trench, and I understand you prefer playing this standing upright. It's a better
Yeah,
position,
it's
right?
a better position.
And
yeah.
so,
Usually I march along with whatever occasion.
There you go.
needed, yeah.
So coming out of the trench, standing erect with these pipes, I mean, that's like a big bullseye right there.
And you knew where he was by the sound.
Yeah, why would anyone want this job? a lot of guts to do this
A
job. huh?
lot of guts.
Yeah,
A lot of guts. Yeah, so
Amazing. Now, okay, how long did it take for you to learn to play the pipes?
For me to get to, I guess, suitable for public consumption took me about 2 years.
Okay, that's interesting, huh? Okay. Now, in a while, you're going to be playing Scotland the Brave for us, and it's, tell us a bit of the song, Les.
Well, the song is again a song of war, so it's about fighting. So, and at one point it was thought that Scotland the Brave could become our national anthem, and there were many people supported that. But today, in general, I would say that most people feel that the Flower of Scotland is our national anthem. And before we play sports events like football or rugby, it's always the Flower of Scotland is played
Oh,
today.
really? I mean, the Scottish teams.
Every Scottish team,
before.
before it plays,
Yeah.
we play the Flower of
So the
Scotland.
Kiwis have their war dance, their war cry.
Exactly.
You have
We have the Flower
the
of Scotland.
pipes. Bravo.
And if you watch the rugby, for instance, which is 67,000 at every game, everybody knows the words, and everyone's singing the words. Unlike some in the United States who don't seem to know the words of their own anthem, that's not the case in Scotland. Everyone knows the words of Scotland.
Now, let's talk about the colors of Scotland. I'm going to hold it up. Okay, maybe you can help me hold this up. Okay, this is the flag of Scotland.
That's correct.
And-
It's based on the flag of St Andrew. And the reason it's like this is because St Andrew himself, when he was crucified on a diagonal cross. So hence the diagonal. And the blue is, of course, the sky. So when you were looking up at St Andrew when he was on the cross, this is what you saw. You saw
Yes.
St Andrew.
And also in Braveheart, I saw how Mel Gibson would paint their faces
That's correct.
with a,
That's
with
You'll
a
see
white
that
cross
in-
and the light blue
That's correct.
paint.
And if you see the sports events today, many people paint their face. St Andrew.
Oh, very good.
So it's,
Okay, let's talk about, quickly before we give the floor to Rob Roy Espiritu, let's talk about Scotland today. We talk about independence, we talk about nationalism, rising nationalism, this growing sense of establishing ourselves as a people, an independent people. Where is that headed? Because we all read about it in the papers and CNN about how Scottish independence has been looming for quite a number of years. Where are we today?
It's, I mean, the independence movement, I think, really started to get some momentum after the Second World War. And it was due largely to the demise of empire. The British Empire, of course, before the Second World War, was the largest in the world. And Scots played a big part in that. So economically, it was very important for Scotland to be part of that empire. But as we mentioned earlier, Scotland's always been a country. We've always felt we were a country. We always felt, for a number of reasons, legal system, education system, culture, we felt we were different. We were never the same. So after the Second World War, this nationalist movement started to grow. And in 1997, we got our own parliament again. And that was the first time the parliament had been in Scotland since 1707.
Oh, wow, okay.
So many years had passed during that time. Many people were very proud. Today, the country is split about 50-50. 50% want independence, 50% believe we're better staying in the Union. So without going into a political discussion,
Sure.
I believe that the Brexit debate has changed that again. When the Brexit vote was held, 62% of Scots voted to stay in the European Union. We believe in free trade. Scotland believes in free trade. And in fact, Adam Smith, who wrote the book The Wealth of Nations, which was really the textbook of economists worldwide,
Yes.
which was based on free trade is good for people. So in the Philippines, you grow mangoes. In Scotland, we weave kilts. So you sell mangoes and you buy kilts.
Yeah.
That just seems to be common sense to me.
Yeah.
So being in a free trade environment seems to be the way to go for the world. That's my personal opinion. So pulling out of Brexit, to me, seems like economic suicide.
Yeah.
So I think it will trigger another independence referendum, and it may happen next year.
Well, exciting times for Scotland, and but I think that you guys have surmounted so many challenges and obstacles, and this is going to be another hiccup in the progression of your nation. And you've done it before; you'll do it again.
I think so.
We'll be following this issue very closely. So, guys, before we go, I hope you enjoyed our special on Scotland called Scotland the Brave. Now we're going to leave you with the musical stylings of Robert Roy Espiritu, who is going to play Scotland the Brave, which is one of the anthems of Scotland, actually.
Yeah.
So, see you next week. Take it away, Roy.